Hey guys, just wanted to remind you that the Confident Trader Collective free online 4-day trading workshop is right around the corner starting on August 17th, running through the 20th. So make sure you sign up. I'll throw a link in the show notes below, but you're going to want to register. Trust me, seats are limited for those who plan on attending live. Of course, it will be recorded if you guys can't make it or just want to review the content. But if you've ever been to one of our workshops, trust me, the live experience is unmatched, especially in a workshop like this, where you guys will be creating the content. So sign up. Information is in the show notes. Enjoy today's podcast. Hey traders, Akil Stokes here. Welcome back to another episode of the Trading Coach Podcast. Thank you as always for joining me. In today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about productivity and efficiency, specifically when it comes to putting yourself on the right path to achieve your goals. But first, I want to give a big shout out to you guys for supporting the show. Someone recently just forwarded me the website, and apparently this podcast is ranked number 5 on the top 10 Forex podcasts that you should listen to in 2020. So pretty cool. Again, we don't do this for the stats, but it's cool to be recognized, and it just says a lot about you guys and your ability to not only support the show, but your ability to come up with great ideas and great topics for me to talk about. And I always wanted this show to be a little bit different. A lot of podcasts, the formula is you interview people and have them share their stories and all that fun stuff, which is great, by the way. I think that is necessary and that's very helpful. But I wanted this to be a place where I can kind of share my journey of what helped me become a successful trader, especially knowing really how poorly I started off, and really a place that you guys can ask questions and think about really topics that directly relate to you and what you're going through, because most likely other traders are going through it as well. And I think we've accomplished that goal. We're nearing episode 400, and I'm still just as inspired as I was during episode 0. So pretty cool. I love what I do, and I'm excited to keep this thing going. And I'm glad you guys continue to support. Now, in today's podcast, I want to talk a little bit about to-do lists. And I don't know how this topic got on my head. I think it's because I found an old book of mine, which used to be a to-do list book. And if you guys know me, I have like millions of books laying around the office that get lost. And I started using it again to form my to-do list. And it sparked me to ask a question both on the Instagram and on the Twitter, asking how many people check their to-do list first thing in the morning. And also one of the options was, do you check your to-do list every day in the morning? Do you have a to-do list, but you don't check it? Or do you not even have a to-do list? And to my surprise, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but between Instagram and Twitter, about 60% of people said that they don't use a to-do list. And I say I'm surprised because I'm a big fan of to-do lists. I think it's necessary in being organized. I think it's necessary in creating a routine. But I also have to remember that most people aren't, I don't want to say not successful, but most people aren't successful. Let's put it that way. And they're not necessarily doing the things that are needed to do in order to be successful. So I shouldn't be that surprised. And I don't mean that in a negative way. Sometimes people just don't know. Someone hit me up this morning saying, "Hey, Akil, you know what? I never even thought about using a to-do list until I saw your post. Do you think it's worth trying?" I said, "Yeah, try it out for 30 days. That's typically how long it takes to kind of create a habit and see if it has a positive effect on your life. If it does, it's something that you can keep doing going forward. If it doesn't, at least you said you could try and you learned something from the experience. At least you learn what doesn't work with you, right? There's no harm in doing it. But I think a to-do list is very important. I'm going to read you an article stating some of those reasons, kind of sharing my opinion. But what's funny is I got a response from Don on Twitter. He says, "I once heard a story that someone charged hundreds of dollars to share the secret of success." And I said, "Oh no, trading scam, right? Because, I'm in the trading industry. That's what you hear about all the time. I have this super secret strategy. I made $6 million during the pandemic with a broken arm. Give me $100 and I'll share with you the secret. I'm like, well, that doesn't work basic math wise. But anyway, he said the secret was, drum roll please, every day, write a to-do list. Every day, complete the to-do list. And he says, is success that simple? And my initial response is going to be like, no. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, you know what? It just might be that simple, right? Because if you've been with me and following the podcast for any time now, you kind of know my formula on success, right? My formula of success is this, right? Success comes from doing the right things with the right amount of effort for the right amount of time, right? So the right actions that are going to push you forward towards your goal. You're doing it with the right amount of effort. You're not just doing the right things to do them. You're doing it with a high amount of effort. You're doing them the right way in a very productive way. And you're doing it for the right amount of time, meaning you're giving yourself enough time to kind of get through the plateau period and actually see success, right? And if you can do all those things, I believe that you will be successful. Now, me personally, I like to add, you do them for the right reasons. I guess that doesn't have to be included for success because you could be successful for all the wrong reasons. For me personally, I think doing things for the right reason is part of it as well. I think that's going to kind of keep you driven during those dark periods. That why is going to stand out and allow you to kind of push forward. But the reason that most people don't become successful is that there is a flaw in one of those things. Either they're not doing the right things, or they're doing the right things, but it's not pushing them in that correct direction, right? Or maybe they're doing the right things, but they're not doing it with a good amount of effort. They could be doing a high amount of effort, but doing the wrong things. In many cases, people want this instant gratification. They don't understand how long it takes to become successful in anything that you do. They think that, hey, if I do the right things the right way, I should be successful. Boom, right away. They don't understand that it often takes a lot of time, and I'm talking years, to be successful. And they just don't allow themselves that much time to kind of, reap the fruits of their labor. One of the first things I had in my trading plan when I first got started trading is I said, I only believe that the reason people fail is because they quit before they have a chance to succeed. And I'm 100% behind that. Now, I know there are certain things where you can find out like, hey, it's just not going to work, and I understand that. But let's say you find that thing, just because you're struggling doesn't necessarily mean you failed. You just haven't figured out a way to make it work yet. So with that being said, if you think about a to-do list and what a to-do list does, right? A to-do list is essentially listing your task for the day. Like, what should I be doing today? And if you go back to the trader's comment or the guy's comment where he says every day complete that to-do list and success is simple, he's kind of right? If your to-do list is full of tasks that's going to push you in the right direction, they're going to give you a step-by-step guide of achieving your goal, and you're completing that every day, and assuming you're doing that with the right amount of effort, theoretically, you should be successful given the right amount of time. So I actually think it is that simple. Is it easy? Hell no. But it's that simple. And it made me think more about to-do lists, and I've given you guys a few podcasts on productivity and kind of my opinion, but it's been a while. Again, we're up to almost episode 400 now, and we've got new traders that are coming in, and they're not even going back to episode 0. So it's cool if we kind of revisit some of these topics. But I'm going to read you an article that is on the website. I think it's called Event Manager Blog, and it's called The Secret Power of To-Do List. There's no author. I would give him a shout out, but I don't see anything. It says by the studio team. So I want to go back down to kind of the beginning, and it says how to write an effective to-do list. It says to use a to-do list to its full potential, you first need to know how to construct one that is going to allow you to meet your goals and targets. And that starts with choosing a platform, right? Whether it's on a tablet, a smartphone app, a piece of paper, or in your calendar, pick the platform that is most suited to you. Many find that physically writing a to-do list down helps to make it more memorable and real, whereas others feel that a digital copy is more convenient and easily updated. Either way, pick a platform that suits you and stick to it. And I'm a big fan of writing stuff down. I am a physical writer, right? Because I do believe it makes it more memorable, right? There's an association that happens when the message has to go from your brain sends it to your hand sends it to the paper, your eyes read it from the paper, it goes back into your brain. It's easy to memorize and easy to have it plugged into your brain when you write it down. So I'm a big fan of that, especially when it comes to learning. And I did a podcast on that a few weeks ago about my unique way of learning, where I talked about writing my notes over and over and over again. With that being said, I also use a digital to-do list. I don't know what it's called now. They changed the name. It's Microsoft To Do or something like that. A simple free thing. I don't need anything fancy, but just something that I can plug up and it goes across all my platforms. I have it on my desktop. I can load it from my laptop. I can load it from my tablet, my cell phone, whatever. And what I enjoy about that is that I could add things on the fly. So if you imagine, I have a pretty busy day, and whether it's work related or whether it's at the playground with my kids, and I tend to get a lot of random ideas or a lot of random things that come up, whether it's a meeting or someone I have to respond to. So one of the benefits about a digital version, instead of carrying around a notebook with you all the time and a pen and whatnot, obviously you can just plug it in and play, or plug it in and do it on whatever mobile device you have. But something I'll also do is I'll kind of do both. So I'll write it down in my notebook before I go to bed. And then once in the morning, I'll look at that notebook and whatever the new additions are, then I'll plug it into the computer. So I kind of have a hybrid version of doing it. Next is consistency. It's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes you can forget to look at your list. But to ensure that you remain consistent, let's try it again. It's not going to happen overnight, and sometimes you can forget to look at your list, but ensure that you remain consistent to turn it into a productive work habit, because it can help you think laterally in the future when it comes to problem solving and staying productive. And this is one of my biggest problems with technology. I tend to not look at it. I tend to forget. I have this to-do list and I don't actually look at it, and I would guess that's many of our problems as well. And there's no shortcut around it. You just have to do it. I mean, if you want to give yourself kind of tricks, you can set an alarm in your phone that says check to-do list. Set an alarm that says finish to-do list, something like that. That'll help give you a reminder. But it just has to become a habit. And just like following the to-do list, actually checking your to-do list and writing it is a habit as well. So I would put a challenge out to yourself where it says, hey, maybe start small. I'm going to check mine and update my to-do list every day for a week, and then have that week turn into 2 weeks, have that 2 weeks turn into 4 weeks. And then once you can get about a month in, if you're doing it every single day, it's going to become a habit where it's just part of your routine, where you wake up in the morning and you go downstairs, you get your cup of juice or coffee, whatever you do, and then you check your to-do list to set yourself up for the day. And that's where I'm at right now, where I've done it enough where it really becomes a routine, where the first thing that I do when I turn on the computer is I load up the to-do list, I add whatever's in my notebook, doopity-doopity-doopity-doop, and then I close it down, and then I'll kind of get to actually reviewing and prioritizing things later on. But you got to be consistent in it, and it just comes from taking action. Next is being realistic, right? You know how long you have in a day to dedicate to tasks, so try to remember this when writing your to-do list. Don't include more than 8 items on the list, because you are less likely to get it done, and it could be more daunting the longer it is. Be realistic about the amount of time and commitment you have, so don't overstretch your list. And there are many theories on this. I have people, I've read things before with productivity where it's like, write everything down and then just choose your top 6. And I think that's going to vary on a person-to-person basis. There is a real thing to that becoming daunting. One of the biggest things why people don't follow to-do lists is because it becomes intimidating, right? I could tell you my to-do list will often have like 20 things on there. And what happens is when you don't complete those 20 things, it can become discouraging. And same thing with big goals, right? I apologize if you hear that in the background, getting the lawn mowed, but big goals as well. I think a big reason that people get discouraged over to-do lists is because instead of breaking their goals down into very achievable small tasks, it's a massively big goal, something that they can't necessarily complete in one day. And when you see it just hovering on that to-do list every day, and it's not getting completed, it starts to demoralize you. Now, the reason why I don't stick to a set 6 or a set 8 or whatever it is because I'm just very forgetful. So honestly speaking, with all that's going on in my life, if it's not on my to-do list and if I don't literally see it each and every day, I'm going to forget about it. My memory is horrible unless it's something that's super, super important. So I'll often have things on my to-do list that I don't really care. They're low profile things. I don't need to complete them. I just want to do them, and it could happen a year from now. But I just put it on there as a reminder of like, hey, Akil, you're going to get to this at some point. So you really got to find what works for you. I'm going to skip a little bit of this, but there's one right here, and this is kind of similar. It's called the Ivy Lee method. This is the same thing about taking 15 minutes, prioritizing your day, picking your top 6 or your top 8 and labeling them. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did get the question this morning on how do I prioritize my list, or how do I guess it's how do I prioritize my list? I wish I had the real message in front of me. But typically I don't have, unless something has a set due date, I don't really have a time on when it needs to get done. Now, obviously, if I have to get like an article out by a certain time, or if I have a meeting that I have to prep for at a certain time, I'll have that time on there. But usually I'll just kind of put things in the order of what I want to get done for that day. And it could vary depending on what they are. Typically, a good habit to make in general is to get the easy things done first, right? If you get the easy things done first, boom, they're off their list. I know if the deal I use, as soon as you click it off your list, you get a nice little ding, and it makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel task completion is good. It gives you kind of a boost. You've accomplished something. So the exact opposite of, again, having something that stays on your list forever and you get demoralized, when you complete things, you get a psychological boost. So when you have those big goals or those big things on your list, break them down into smaller tasks, very small, minimal, easy tasks. Put them all on your to-do list and then check them off. Boom, check them off. Boom. And each time you check them off, you're actually more inspired to do the next one. And it creates kind of this motivation that makes you want to, kind of like an addictive drug. You get this addiction to completing tasks and you get fired up and you feel good. You run and tell the wife, hey, babe, halfway through my list today. Yeah, let's go. And it's just, it's much better to live that way than the other way where you're just, staring at the same task for 6 days straight. Here's an interesting thing too. It says why to-do lists are beneficial even if you don't complete them. To-do lists aim to help you start on your tasks. This can often be the hardest part, especially in the morning when you're more prone to procrastinating. Knowing where to start and giving yourself focus for the day very early on can keep your eyes on the prize and allows you to stay motivated, even if you don't get to the end of your list. You started tasks, even if you don't get to the end of your list, you started tasks that you've been putting off, and that's a plus. Also, writing lists can help you subconsciously sort through information that you were presented with. For example, thinking about marketing ideas for a large event might be on your to-do list, and throughout the day you are presented with inspiration or notice things that can be relevant. Ideas can seem to pop up at the most unusual time. This is because your brain knows what you're looking for and is working behind the scenes. And this is something that I stand by this 100%. Even if you're not getting something done, just having it on your mind kind of sparks ideas. And for me, most of my great ideas, the few that there are, most of my great ideas come in random times. They come in random times. I rarely think of anything good while I'm sitting trying to think of something good. It usually comes while I'm out on a run, I'm in a bike ride, I'm playing at the park with my kid, I'm doing something completely random. But because this task is on my mind, an idea pops into it. I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that for that. And then, again, that's why I go to my phone and I type in notes under that section. So even if you don't get things done, just kind of having that outlook, that top-down analysis, I guess you can say, of the day and what, surveying the land of what needs to be completed could be very, 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 very beneficial. So I'm not going to read the rest of it because I like to keep these podcasts short. But what I'll do is I'll put a show note. So I'll put a link to this article in the show notes below where you can click it and check it out if you want to learn more. But I certainly recommend doing the challenge, guys. If you're someone that finds themselves maybe not being as productive as they want, maybe not being as efficient as they want, I would take 30 days and try creating a to-do list. It is basically, you know, we talk a lot about trading here. It is the trading plan for your life. And we all know that the power that a trading plan has in the market, it keeps you organized, it gives you routines, it gives you comfort, it kind of tells you exactly what you need to do, how you need to do it, when you need to do it. And that kind of takes a lot of the stress off for the rest of your day. A to-do list is the same thing for your life. It sets up your day. You know exactly what you're expecting. You know, you have an idea of exactly what you want to complete. And again, in my opinion, being able to check things off that to-do list is so motivational. That's going to encourage you to do the rest. So give it a try. 30 days. Let me know what you think about it, guys. You know, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on the Facebook group chat, hit me up on Instagram, wherever else you find me at. After 30 days or after a week or whatnot, let me know if you found any difference. I'd love to kind of come back and view this experiment and see if it actually allows you to become more productive. I think it will, but you'll have to see for yourself.